Howdy folks, it's Adriel the Hunting Gear Guy. Today I'm going to show you guys how to disassemble, clean, and reassemble this Mosin Nagant. Now, this is a 9130, not that it matters, they're all pretty similar, but there's lots of guys who have like disassembly videos out on the internet. I'm always thankful when I find one that covers one area where I'm stuck, so I thought I'd do my own video just in case someone else gets stuck on one of the parts I got stuck on. So I'm going to go ahead and strip this thing down. First things first, let's make sure we have no ammunition in our magazine and nothing in our chamber, and I can see through that chamber, so we're empty, we're ready to start cleaning. First things first, super easy. Hey, make sure that this thing's empty. We pulled the trigger. So you just need to pull a trigger to release the bolt. So again, all you need to do, pull the trigger, bolt wiggles out, and I'm going to throw the receiver to the side for now. We'll come back to him later. Next, we've got this bolt here that we need to disassemble. It's actually pretty easy. One thing I'm going to do here is just grab onto this tail here and then rotate it to the side, just as if we were firing the gun. This is going to loosen off a couple of components. It's going to be under pressure, so I'm doing this with some force. Now that part's off, and which part comes off? Oh, there we go. And my bolt and this dog thing comes off here. I'm actually going to use this thing as a tool, so I'm going to keep it handy. There's my bolt head, and I'm just going to put it to the side right now until I get to cleaning. Now, in terms of the rest of the bolt body, I need to get this firing pin out. It's actually threaded into the back of this cap here. There's a couple of ways of doing this. One of the ways is to put pressure on it, push this part down, and then start spinning this part. But as you see, like it's a ton of pressure right now. Just while it's under a ton of pressure, all I'm going to do here is grab this guy here and then start loosening it off. And you can see here in the tail that it's already starting to go in, and that means I'm going in the right direction. I'm not going to do this the whole way because then it's going to spring out uncontrollably and like do a bunch of damage. I'm going to put it on my desk here. This will mess up your desk, so put something soft under it if you care. And then I'm just going to, while I'm holding it down, spin this off here. It's just faster. There's the back end of the bolt. There's the bolt, and there's the firing pin and spring and striker, or whatever you want to call this guy here. So pretty simple bolt to take apart, right? Now, when it comes to the barreled action, there's a couple things to caution you against. These flathead screws that are on here are not your typical flathead screw. You'll definitely want a gunsmith set to pull these out. Or the tool it comes with is also pretty good, but also kind of not good. So I'm just going to start with this one. Again, there's a couple of different ways to skin this cat. Boy, this is awkward to do on film. Holding a screwdriver sideways when I don't really need to. I'm going to pull that bolt out, just check it to the side, and let's see, I still got that one right there. I've got a screw right at the back. Am I low enough? Yes, I am. Cool. Magnetized screw tips here. Jeez, I'm going to have to just put this thing level so I don't end up scratching it up. Sorry, I won't be able to show you this part, but I'm undoing a screw. It's riveting. No, it's a screw. It's not riveting. You get the picture. Oh man, so many threads. All the threads. Much threads. Holy, it's still going. Okay, let's get my screwdriver back on there. Get out of there. There we go. Not that many threads, but it felt like a lot. These things are so long. Okay, there. It's ready to come out. There's my trigger guard and magazine all in one unit. And you can see my trigger just hanging out all by its lonesome here. Now I'm going to need to take off some of these bands here. Some of these are easier than others. It's been a long time since I've done this one. I can't remember how hard it is. If I told you guys this barrel band was tight and a pain in the butt, would you believe me? Let's pull off this cleaning rod. Get it out of the way. I'm not actually going to use that cleaning rod to clean it. They're steel. I don't need to damage the barrel on this thing. This barrel clamp is not actually going to come off the end. That's okay. Next, I'm going to deal with this one. I'm pretty sure I remembered this one was easier than my other one. Oh, look, it is. A lot easier. All right, now my upper handguard's going to come off, as long as those barrel bands are out of the way. My upper handguard can go off to the side, and now my upper and lower can separate. I don't know if you saw there, but just on both sides here, I had a bunch of rust. I don't know what that's from, but I'm just going to hit that with a brass brush right now. Really clean it off. Throw a little bit of oil on there. And continue brushing. But why don't we talk about the other stuff to clean? Well, there's not really much here. I could remove my trigger if I wanted to. Incidentally, this is also where you'll need to get into the trigger group if you want to perform a trigger job on this gun. But I think I'm just going to leave it for now. Oh, that's just a little bit of shellac on there. That's what that is. Thought it was rust, but it's actually like brown shellac or something like that on here. There's definitely a chunk of rust right on the tang here. Right on there. And this thing's long and unwieldy to use. It's really hard to show you guys what I'm doing here. Just oil that a little bit more. And then use my brush to get in there. Again, a lot of these older milsurps, they will have a little bit of rust on them from storage. Some of them were stored really well, and then some of them weren't really stored all that well. You know, some of these warehouses that they've been in over the years have, over the decades, have flooded, and sometimes these old guns got water in them, and their caretakers maybe didn't care about these rifles as much because, again, these are like old war relics, right? These Mosin Nagants. The design was pretty cool for like the late 1800s, but not very cool for World War I or II, and yet that's when they were still making them. I'm just now cleaning around the interrupter. This interrupter on the Mosin is problematic on a lot of them. It often jams up the action. So this guy right here, oh boy, can you guys see that? There's a lever right there. And if it's not nice and clean, it may not work. And if it doesn't work, your rounds don't feed, and you run the bolt, and one of those rounds just wants to kind of stay a little bit low, out of the way, out of the scene. That's no good. So you definitely want it clean around there. Oh, you know what? If I wanted to, yeah. You know what? These things will come out even without unscrewing. You just gotta push on this guy here. And it should come right out. There's my interrupter. Oh, it's got my glove. That should make it a little bit easier to clean. I'm just cleaning the edges a little bit. This part shouldn't get any corrosive salts on it because of the bolt action. All the corrosive salts should kind of go down the barrel. But it never hurts to clean some of these old guns. I'm just using a pipe cleaner to get in that groove. And that groove where that interrupter goes. Just grabbing onto it to kind of clean it out. Again, this is a potential problem area on Mosins, so I'd like to make sure it's nice and clean and well oiled. Next, let's put that interrupter back in. I didn't really pay attention to when it was coming out because I got these damn lights in my face. I'm pretty sure it's going to go like that in there. So that little bit is going to go on my interrupter, and I want this this ledge here towards the front. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm sure. That was pretty easy. I don't know if you guys saw that, but you just kind of pull this guy out. Let's see if I can do this reversed. just so you guys can watch me struggle with this thing since I can't see the damn. Okay, I'm pushing it up. I'm moving the interrupter in place, and I'm putting it down. I really want to make sure that my tab. You can see here that that spring's a little bit proud. I'm going to move it just so that that thing gets right in there. There it goes. So now my tab is right inside the spring, and I can see that my interrupter is moving nice and freely. So that part's all nice and clean. Towards the back here, I might just clean this out with a quick rag here. I might get in the rails. I want to make sure that my rails are all nice and clean. If you want to, now's the time to use your nylon brush and just kind of get in there. Give it a quick cleaning. And then wipe off with your rag. This thing's starting to come apart. I'm going to switch over to my blue shop towels. These things last just a little bit better than the paper towels do. Your paper towels will leave like little fragments all over the place, but they're cheap, so I kind of like using it for some of the stuff. Just going to stick a little bit in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just push it in through that mechanism there where my fingers can't reach. And then grab a little bit more around there. Now I'm going to go ahead and oil it. And what I'm going to do while I oil it is just grab an extra rag. I'm going to have one rag that's going to be quite oily and dirty, and one of them that won't be. So here's my blue guy here. It's going to be my oily rag. I'm going to oil up about half of it. I'm just going to get inside the tracks. Again, these are old rifles, so a little bit of oil as preservative is not a bad idea. You don't want it rusting up, and oil will prevent it from rusting up. That being said, oil also will attract dirt, so anywhere that you don't want dirt getting into, you want to go lighter on the oil. Now that also said, on AR-15s, basically run the... a lot of guys will just run the bolt like sopping wet if they want like ultimate reliability, so go figure, right? And because I saw some rust on this thing, I'm just getting oil on all the parts that I scrubbed really well. I think it's looking good. Now the next thing I'm going to do, really, if you're going to shoot corrosive ammo through this thing, and I really would encourage you to shoot corrosive ammo through these guns. They're cheap, the ammo's cheap, and it's kind of what they're made for, right? I would really encourage you guys to, right after you shoot, as soon as possible, run some hot water down the bore. And what that's going to do is neutralize the salts. And then afterwards, all you're going to want to do is run something afterwards with some oil on it. So what I like to do is with these pull-throughs, just oil the first little bit of the bore snake. This is not going to give me like a perfect bore clean. This is just the cleaning I would do after shooting. Run that bore snake through. And then I'm going to pull it through the other side. I'd run it through once or twice. And then I'd take a look at my bore, and it's a little bit cruddy, so I'm just going to get some of that carbon off of there. This is usually the stubborn stuff that really doesn't want to come off. That's looking all right. All right, I'm just visually inspecting the rest of it. Looking good. I'm going to use my oily rag on that spot that I saw that was a little bit rusty earlier. Just get a lot of oil in there, and what that'll do is keep the oxidation from going on. Keep it from rusting any further. Taking a look underneath my rear sight. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know what Russian refurb did that, but that must have been to sight this thing in. I don't know, maybe. Let's see here. Okay, I've got the rest kind of a little bit cleaned off. I am going to oil anywhere that's going to be covered by the stock, because those might trap moisture, and I don't want that trapped moisture to rust my barrel and rust my barreled action. Alright, this is about as much as I would do on the barreled action. Why don't we get to that bolt? Now That would really do nothing on the stock. It's nothing really needed. Oh yeah, I've got this guy here. Yeah, I want to clean it up. So there's my trigger guard and magazine. I don't know if you see here, but my glove's starting to come apart. Well, that's happened. I've got this guy loose here. That latch right here will open it up, and then all you have to do is pinch it, and then it will come out itself. And one of the things you want to do with these magazines is definitely clean on the inside. Sometimes you get crap down there, and it starts to really muck up, and like these things don't feed fantastically. So if you've got like some garbage in this really thin single feed here, it can cause some issues. So I'd really recommend getting a rag and just kind of stuffing it through there. It's one of those times where it's ideal if you've got two people, because one person can hold here and the other person can like scrub back and forth here, just like you're toweling off your butt. But I'll try to do it one person. And you know what? I'm just going to pop this on my table. Is that going to work? Oh, that's going to work. Oh, no, it's not. My table's too slippery. There we go. Close enough. I'm going to grab my pipe cleaner and get in those recesses that my paper towel was not able to. Again, some of this is preservation as well. Just having a little bit of extra oil on this thing is going to help me preserve the gun for years to come. Getting that back bit there where the ammo's going to be lying. And I'm going to dry that off because I don't really want that much oil on my ammo as it's sitting in the magwell. Magwell? Magazine. Magazine. Alright, that's looking nice and clean. Oh, I'm going to grab around this latch here. Again, this stuff's pretty tough to do with just a paper towel, so having a pipe cleaner's nice and handy. Some guys believe you shouldn't clean your guns, but I think what you've seen so far is that if I hadn't cleaned this gun for this video, I would have had some rust that was unknown underneath the stock that was attacking the steel here. And thankfully, thankfully I'm doing this video so you guys can watch this thing, and I got to find out that there was a part that was rusting there, so I got to really attack that rust with that bronze brush there, and then hit it with a bit of oil so that it's not going to rust any further. I'm not really in a humid environment here, so I don't have to worry too much about rust, but as you see, it does happen. I'm just going to get along these grooves here on the magazine. And I think that's about clean. Next, my springs here. I'm not actually going to disassemble this thing. I can, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, and I don't see enough crud to really justify it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the easy surfaces with my rag. I'm just going to pinch that so I can get in there. Next, I'm going to grab my pipe cleaner and get in some of the more difficult to get to areas. Right underneath these springs. Now there's a pin right here that this entire thing is bearing on, and you may want to throw some oil in there. I'm just going to throw it in between these two slices here. And I'm going to work it and dab off any excess. That excess that's sitting up on the surface, all it's doing is, well, I mean, it's rust preventative, I guess, but it's not really helping with that pin there. And I have a pin at the back here. I'm going to get it with some oil as well. Work it. And I think that's all my pins. Yeah, that looks like it's all my pins. Give the bottom a quick wipe. Sometimes these exposed surfaces are the ones that rust because they're exposed to your hands. Your hands rub off the oil and you leave your own mixture of oils on there that aren't so great at preserving guns. Weird. We don't exude that oil, but it's always good to clean those and give them a quick wipe anytime you can. Ideally with a bit of oil, if not, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on here. So I've got it facing like that. There's my mag well, and it's going to grab onto this this pin's lug here. I mean, they made these things for conscripts, so we should be able to clean them, right? With a YouTube video or two, we should be able to take care of this. All right, let's get to this bolt here. Now that when we've got things apart, these bolts are actually quite easy to clean. I'm going to go ahead and pull this spring off, the striker spring. There's my striker. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down. Normally these things keep pretty clean. I would encourage you guys to keep some oil on here. Yes, it's going to attract some dirt, but at least it's going to keep that corrosion at bay. I think, like personally, as like I'm not a collector, but like we owe it to these rifles to at least like kind of keep them clean and not mess them up. You'll be kicking yourself if in 10 years these things are $700 and you've got a rusty one sitting in your basement and not like a nice pristine one, right? Just cleaning off the multi-tool that comes in the bolt. And just oiling it at the same time. I'm going to grab my pipe cleaner and I'm going to get in between. Oh, let's see. How do I do that? There we go. It's kind of hard to watch the screen and the camera at the same time. And I'm just getting in there. Underneath a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a bend just so I can get into that crook a little bit better. Same thing on the other side. That's looking nice and oiled. Next part, my spring. Oh man, this spring looks great. Yeah, it looks great. I'm not even going to brush it because it just looks fine. Nothing wrong with that. Next, my bolt head. Ooh, I'll actually show you guys this time. How about that? There's a concept. I'm going to get into these grooves here. I'm going to try to just pinch my my paper towel and get it in there. And that's just for my first little bit. Again, the problem with, like, pipe cleaners are great, but they get dirty really quickly. And once they're dirty, you're spreading that dirt everywhere. So it's not, you're not really helping anything. You're hurting more than anything, right? So I prefer to get most of the dirt off with a paper towel and then get onto the pipe cleaner afterwards as a matter of course. So I'm just cleaning the lugs. I'm cleaning all around here. Yep. Now, with my pipe cleaner, I'm actually going to get in behind the extractor there. Oh boy, can I do this with you guys seeing? I'm doing this backwards, so just like bear with me. Yeah, I'm getting underneath that extractor there. You know, sometimes you're shooting surplus ammo. There's some steel that might come off. It might come, you know, get jammed in under there. So there's an easy way to get at it. If you can, just grab a dental pick and just clean in under there, and that will ensure that you're completely clean. You got all the crud out of there. These are great for like getting out really dark carbon deposits, as well as if there's like a chunk of steel or some nasty piece of crap in there, I can really pull it out. Next, I'm gonna there's a groove all the way around the center here. I'm just gonna give it a light scraping. I'm not scraping to like F up the metal or anything like that. I'm just scraping to get the steel nice and clean. Now I'll grab my pipe cleaner. Man, I keep forgetting that word. And clean it around it. Maybe it's because like whenever I pick it up, I'm doing something like semi-complex. I'm trying to like bend it in some weird shape. I'm gonna get my grooves. So I need these grooves here. I'm gonna make sure they're well oiled as well. These can kind of collect moisture, so I don't want those to get wet. I'm gonna get really well behind my lugs, right behind the ears. Your mom ever tell you need to clean your ears out? Don't forget to wash behind your ears. All right, that's looking good. Next, why don't we get inside the bolt? Now I'm gonna do two things. First, I'm gonna have my pipe cleaner just kind of like mangled around. I'm gonna get from the back. I'm not going to get all the way through, but I'm going to get it to where I can see it, like from the front here. And clean it up really well. Next, I'm going to get it in through the firing pin hole. I don't want to get any oil in here. I just want it to be nice and clean. And I can look through there and see, yeah, it's looking all right. Here's my bolt head. I got that part. Let's see here. The tail here. Usually there's not really much on here. I mean, this is pretty far back. If I really want to, I can grab this pipe cleaner, and I'm going to need to double it over. Get it in through the back there. Get it in through the front. Clean some of those lug surfaces that are super important for this bolt to be working properly. Make sure that those are all nice and clean. And oiled. I'm oiling them at the same time because this pipe cleaner's got a little bit of oil left over on it. Just cleaning things off. You want to make sure your thread surfaces are clean on the back of this thing. Alright, that's looking good. Middle part, bolt body. Not much going on the outside. I'm just making sure that my engagement surfaces are clean and oiled. Next, I grab my pipe cleaner. Grab in there. Again, I'm oiling as I go here. To get within that bolt body, I'm just going to make my pipe cleaner a little bit larger. So it's kind of scraping the edges as it goes in there. It won't go all the way through because it goes down to a smaller diameter. Now I'll go in through the front. Get in there. Nope, gonna have to pinch it down a bit more. Pull it out, and I'll just use it to oil these grooves. There, that one's oiled. Right on the edge here, this is where there's a lot of action going on, so you may want to throw a little bit of oil on there. Just going to rub the edge of my bottle on here. I don't want a ton. Don't need a ton. At this point, I'm actually going to use my gloved knit ryle finger. Not this one. This one. The one that's still kind of okay. And I'm just pushing around some of that oil. I think that's it for this part. Why don't we put this gun back together? There's my firing pin. Ooh, you know what? My threads are looking a little bit nasty. Where is my brush? I'm just gonna give this a quick brush. I'm just brushing off in the direction of the threads. And now let's just clean that right off. Well, it's looking much better. Much more better. Throw the spring on there. Get it on your bolt. Is that the right direction? Huh, yes, it is the right direction. Grab your tail. And I prefer this on the counter business. There's a couple different ways of doing it. Now you may come at where it feels like it stops and it doesn't want to go anymore. Just wiggle it a bit. It'll move forward. I'm pushing it down with quite a bit of force right now. And now I'm turning on that tail piece. Once it starts getting difficult, don't kill yourself doing this thing. Oh, I need to move this to where it makes sense. Grab your handy dandy tool that came on the bolt and righty-tighty. I'm gonna have to watch it back, make sure that I'm doing this properly. And I am. You can see that bolt head coming in. Now, there is that multi-tool. You can use it to determine the how proud this firing pin is going to be. I find all you need to do is just line it up, and it works just fine. As long as it's flush with the top of the bolt, it will be okay. You'll want to cock it. Make sure that your bolt, the line that's struck through here, is equal on both sides. Oh, you know what? That's not going to be able to work. Still got to put this business together. All right. Put your bolt on. Sorry, I'm going to have to take it down. So what I'm going to do is just pop it down there. When it's ready to fire, it'll be like this. And you can see that guy resting right there. When it's fired, it'll look like that. Now that fired business, that's actually where I need to put this bolt head on. Right? Right. Yep. There it goes. And I am in on the back there. I am in on this lug, and this one's ready to rotate into position. So as I pull back, this should all just magically rotate into place. Oh, look at that, and it did too. So my bolt is all lined up perfectly there. My line is still lined up on the back, so I'm good to go on this bolt. All right, now I'm going to put my barreled action back together. I'm going to go ahead and feed that trigger through about where it should be. Make sure my barrel loops are nice and high. Get it in place. Now you can see it's firmly seated in there. Let's grab that upper handguard, put it into place. Oh man, such an old, weird system. Click. Well, it clicked so good into place, it's got my knit rail glove there. Now let's grab that top one. I'm going to move the little angly part there to the bottom. I can't actually see this because I'm showing you. And it clicks into place right there. So now my upper handguard doesn't want to go anywhere. Look at that. They didn't want to finish it at the same spot. What's the point? All right. This guy is all in place. And yeah, doesn't want to move. Good. Now next up here, I'm going to grab the floor plate magazine trigger guard business and put it into place. I'm just watching to make sure that the trigger is in the right spot, and I'm not putting any pressure on it. Definitely don't want to hurt my trigger. Why don't we do this guy first, since it was a little bit easier to get into. Be nice if I had a bit. Whoops, sorry about that. That was probably really loud. Here, let me move this to where it's a little bit more comfortable. And so I can talk to you guys and not hit you with the screwdriver. I'm going to grab that tall guy there, throw it in through the back, and go ahead and screw it into place. I'm being super careful not to strip or mar this screw. Flats are bad for that. I don't want to hurt my 100-year-old rifle. There we go. Next up, I need to put my bolt in, and that's super easy. This is the only part of maintenance that would have been done on this rifle originally. And you pull the trigger and wiggle that bolt in, and it should be good to go. Now, if you want to test fire this thing, just make sure that your chamber is empty, your magazine is empty. Pull it closed, pull on the trigger. Oh man, look at that beautiful long trigger pull. Rack the bolt. Ooh, hey, if I've got the trigger pulled, it's going to come right out, isn't it? And it will fire. If you got it there. Oh, beautiful. If you've done any trigger work on your Mosin, I really recommend you pop it back like this. Drop it on the ground quite firmly, especially if you've got a rug or something like that. Just drop it on there, and what you should see is that it didn't fire. Because you don't want it to, right? Because that could cause an unsafe condition. So I just wanted to show you guys. Again, this wasn't super quick, but I got a little bit in depth on the cleaning there. But that's the disassembly and reassembly of the Mosin Nagant 9130. Thanks for watching. Don't forget your cleaning rod. I forgot my cleaning rod. Not that I'll ever use it, but again, completeness and whatever. And these screw in. And then that way they're retained in there. So there, now I got it.